Welcome to the Coco Recovery Podcast.
The Coco Recovery Podcast presents the conversations of an informal group of friends gathered over coffee to discuss their current experience in recovery. The simple purpose of this podcast is to be helpful by sharing the realities of people living in recovery. The hosts and guests may or may not be practicing members of 12-step programs. The Coco Recovery Podcast is not affiliated with any organization, institution, or facility, neither endorses nor opposes any causes or approaches to recovery and rehabilitation. Whatever is expressed in the podcast represents our individual experiences and opinions as of today. Welcome to Coco Recovery Podcast. I'm your co-host, Barbie.
And I'm Carbs.
And I'm Pirate Mike. Good to see y'all.
Nice to see you.
Season
And
2.
what episode is this? I keep on forgetting.
Oh my gosh.
This is the 8th?
8, yeah.
Eight?
Wow.
Yes. Oh,
Yeah,
I love, that's
eight.
my favorite number, magic number 8, because my birthday is August 8th, right? So it's 8/8.
8, 8.
Yeah, so today is so special because one of my dear friends is a guest tonight. And her name is DEETALKS. Welcome to the podcast. Thanks for agreeing to guest on our show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm so excited to talk.
That's amazing. You know, when I met you, I was like, I thought that you were gonna be so mataray and stuff like that, but you're
Wow,
just
wow.
a bundle of joy. To be honest, like I love it. I love being around you, and I love. When you told me your story, I go like, the world has to listen to this.
The world has to listen to the story of DEETALKS.
To our 2 subscribers, yes.
The time is now.
Yeah, to share the story. Thanks. That's so nice to hear.
Yeah,
Okay,
so yeah, I think I met you, when you were like 16.
Oh my
Like
God.
that, yeah. You were like baguettes,
Oh, you guys are old
teenager.
friends.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
I was introduced to her,
I see.
and that's how long I've known of her. And I remember you because I was like, oh, she's so young.
I was so young and so
Yeah. Yeah. It's like, oh, she's in the program, and I remember she's so pretty. I was like, I wonder what she's in
why
for.
she's here.
What she's in for.
What she's in.
What she's in
What
for.
she's doing here. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was in treatment at 18. I think it was 18.
Okay.
You were 18 na. I thought you were 16.
Yeah, I think it was 17 or 18.
You're on 17. I
Yeah,
remember you
I was
weren't
17.
18 eh.
Yeah.
Like you were super young.
Yeah. So shall I begin?
Yes, tell me
Oh,
about,
for
tell
sure.
us about
Yeah.
your journey.
Oh gosh. Okay. So, well, I always like to start with how I was first introduced to recovery. My when I was 12, my parents got separated, and I remember it vividly because it was my birthday, my 12th birthday. And as soon as I blew off the candles and the cake, my dad whispers in my ear, "Your mom's kicking me out." And I'm like,
Oh, man.
yeah, so basically that ruined birthdays for me forever. So it was that night that he left. And I was very close to my dad. I'm actually named after him. But I didn't know why he was being kicked out of the house. I just knew that they were having some problems. I didn't know any details. I was 12, I was young. And it was later on that my mom revealed to me that he was a drug addict, and he kept relapsing. And aside from that, he was also a womanizer, and he was also physically abusive to my mom. And because of that, my mom got into recovery. They actually worked together in a rehab. My dad was working with the patients, with the drug addicts, and my mom was working with the families, and she was actually very instrumental in starting the first uh, family support group here in the Philippines.
Oh, cool.
And they would bring us to the center, and we'd be there swimming in the pool, young kids just carefree. And I would just see them sitting in a circle, and then after, like being in the circle, some people would cry, and then they would laugh, and then at the end of that, they would just all hold each other and say, keep coming back. And at a very young age, I learned the Serenity Prayer and the Our Father. And my mom mentioned to me, she said, you have a genetic predisposition to addiction and alcoholism. So be very, very careful. And because of that, I sort of considered myself a super late bloomer. I didn't touch alcohol and drugs until I think I was 16. And this was late considering that, other people around me, my cousins, my classmates, they were all drinking and smoking weed at an early age. And I would be the one holding the hair up. The one holding
They're
the hair
throwing up.
up while everyone's vomiting, and the one making sure that people get home safe. Sort of trained to be a codependent from a very, very early age. But yeah, when I did start drinking, it was actually because of a boy. I wanted a boy to pay attention to me. And he wasn't minding me because I wasn't taking the shots that he was offering everyone. And I said, you know what? Screw this. I'm just going to try that. And when I did try it, I was like, whoa, okay, I've been missing out. And short, yeah, the short of it is that I forgot about the boy for the rest of the night because I just went to drink. And, that first night that I did drink, it's like the unmanageabilities happened right away. I lost my bag. I lost my ride home. I remember walking down Ayala Avenue early in the morning. I didn't have money on me, so I had to walk home. And, my using and drinking career was very short lived because quickly the unmanageability just started happening.
Oh.
And within a year, I had a near death experience. I mixed I mixed all these things together. I guess the thing is with me, I don't know what to classify it, but I just wanted to get wasted. So whatever I could get my hands on, whatever it was, we all know how it works, right? So yeah, so one night I just mixed all these things together. Basically, my heart was very confused. I was speedballing, and I had to get rushed to the hospital. And I had near-death experience there. And basically, well, this is how I remember it. I went up to heaven, and I came face to face with God after seeing my whole life flash before me. And basically, I was like, God, I want to stay here with you. This is perfect because for the first time in my life, all the feelings left. Sadness, anxiety, insecurity, everything disappeared. And I was just in this beautiful place of peace. And I said, God, if this is what heaven is like, I want to stay here with you. And he says to me, or she says to me, whatever, no, you're not supposed to be here yet. You need to go back down and number one, help yourself and then help other people like you.
Oh.
And I was like, what? No, I want to stay here. And so I zoomed, you know how it is like in the movies where they show us back into the hospital bed, and I wake up and I'm crying and I'm like, damn it, I'm here again.
Wait, so you died? Like you said near death experience, but are you saying like you actually flatlined?
I was unconscious
Wow.
and I was in the hospital, and I was very, very malnourished. So they were giving me electrolytes,
Oof.
and
Yeah.
yeah, they injected me with some vitamins because I wasn't eating. I was just, saving all my money in school to take drugs.
Mm.
Um, so I came back and I was like, okay, I need help. So I called my mom and I said, Mom, I overdosed and I think I need help. And I was 17. Yeah, you're right. I was 17. So I went to treatment for the first time. Funny because it was the treatment center where my parents used to work. So I'm there now. And this is where I meet Barbie. Um, and, it was funny because my core group were all these older people. They had lost so many things in life. They lost their jobs, they lost their wives, their car, their business. And I always say, I didn't lose anything but my mind. Why am I here? And, I think it would have been a really good story to say that I stayed sober from then on, but I didn't. I think the longest I had was 5 years
Mm.
clean and sober. And then like the bone dry guy in the book, after staying clean and sober for a while, it's like,
Yeah.
hey,
Yeah.
I think
It's
I
like,
can handle this.
yeah, maybe I'm not an addict, diba?
Maybe. And I also at this time was now married to someone who was manageably using and drinking.
Okay.
So I really said, hey, time to try that out. If these other people can do it, then maybe I can. And I tried for like 12 years. I tried, um, I used the program basically to use and drink manageably. So every
Mm.
time I would feel like I was going overboard, I'm like, oops, 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 I clean up. And then of course I'm like, okay, I'm okay again. And then I would go up, I'd use again and drink again. So basically I was sort of like a binge drinker and a binge user. I would be super productive. I had, my businesses. I was running a household with my kids, and um yeah, for 12 years I thought I had things under control. And then was my turning point was one day my two boys ended up I came home one afternoon and the two boys were dead on the couches, passed out. And I was like, okay, why are so I think one was maybe 10 and the other one was 3 years old or maybe even younger. But basically, one of them wasn't supposed to be napping, but they
Mm.
were passed out. And I was like, I asked the helper, I'm like, what happened? Why are these boys asleep? And she's like, I don't know. But, they were playing, and the next thing I know, they just stopped moving and they're just asleep. So I'm like, okay, this is odd. And I tried waking them up. They weren't waking up. And then the helper comes running and she's like, actually, ma'am, ito, kinain nila ito. And I was like, oh shit. So it was basically a cannabis lollipop that I brought from the US and kept in our refrigerator.
Mm.
And of course, it's candy.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
the boys ended up eating it. And, you know, that was actually the second time that my eldest son ingested drugs, weed.
Mm.
Because when he was probably 3 years old, he also ate a batch of brownies, a whole batch
Oh,
of brownies
a brown.
I made,
Oh no.
and I left. And so basically, um, I mean, initially it's like, oh, you guys are such funny parents, but but there was something in me deep down inside that wasn't laughing at
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, part of me was like, what? I'm so irresponsible. What kind of parent am I? Knowing, like knowing that maybe one day they're gonna try stuff like that, but
Mm.
like, why am I giving it to them at an early age, right? And and you know, um, I had no one else to blame but myself. And you know, 2 days later, 3 days later, I found myself back in the rooms. Um, And initially, it was like, oh, I'm here because I'm married to someone who has a problem, you know. And then I realized that no, I'm here for myself. I'm the one that needs help. And I need to, to get better for myself and for my kids. And it coming back after 12 years was like, hey, aren't you that kid from long ago? You know, and haven't you been okay? Because, at this point I was you know, living two lives basically, um like on the outside, people, people from recovery would see me and think that, hey, she's still okay. But deep down inside, I was empty. I was
Uh,
using drinking within closed doors. I wouldn't drink outside. I wouldn't use outside. I was basically just, doing it by myself or with my partner. And it was very secretive because I really didn't want people to know.
Yeah.
Um, and I just had to come clean. I had to come clean to myself. I wasn't lying to anyone else at this point but myself. And the depression and anxiety got so bad that you know the the alcohol and drugs stopped doing their magic. So so that's how I came back into the rooms. But then again, it wasn't a straight line of I'm clean and sober and I'm gonna be okay. When I stopped using and drinking that time, within a few months I experienced the deepest depression.
hmm.
I also, as a gift of recovery, I also became a yoga teacher.
Hmm.
And it was during my yoga teacher training that I was going through the darkest depression and the, crippling anxiety. And I was like, what is this? I took out the drugs and the alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be happy,
Yeah.
but I'm miserable, right?
Yeah.
And and it was really hard because even my partner was saying to me, why are you not drinking and using? It's recovery that's making you depressed. And I'm like, basically it was just so confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and I did go back out, but this time it was like, okay, I'm not gonna mix all of these other stuff. I won't do the heavy stuff. I'll just do the weaker stuff, or I'll just drink alcohol and weed. I won't do the other, I won't party because I won't do the chemicals because the chemicals
Yeah.
are too much.
So you're like Cali sober, diba?
Yeah.
That's what they
Yeah.
Cali
call Cali
sober.
Yeah.
sober.
Yeah,
Blang.
and I tried, but but found myself still having experiencing another rock bottom.
Hmm.
And you know and that time I put myself in a center. And and at this point I was now medicated for bipolar. And I
Hmm.
just realized that I couldn't mix the pharmaceutical medicine
Yes.
with
Yes.
with the alcohol and with anything else.
So your
So
diagnosis is just this last time around, or you've been living with the diagnosis for a while now?
just this last time around.
Okay.
So I mean, um, I don't know if it was there ever since.
Hmm.
Um, it was only in recovery that I got diagnosed. I also
Mhm.
experienced uh what's this a full and total hysterectomy when I had my second child.
Hmm.
And that also kind of messed up my hormones
Yeah.
and you know, yeah. So basically I was dealing with all of these things, the physical stuff, like physically not having the hormones to produce the happy hormones.
Yeah.
And then I had um the addiction on top of that. And yeah, so it was like this whole mix of like madness.
Yeah.
And um yeah, so basically this last time around it was like I needed to find a way to be happy in recovery. I knew that recovery was the life I was meant to live, but I didn't want to be in recovery and be miserable,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
So it was I think it was around last year, end of last year. Um, Someone from recovery messaged me because basically I was trying to do it all by myself. Um, I was doing yoga, I was meditating, I was in the health and wellness world, eating better,
Mhm.
getting sunshine, dancing, doing all of that stuff. But there was something missing.
Yes,
Hmm.
it wasn't enough.
It
Yeah.
wasn't enough. I think I really needed to go back to my meetings,
Mhm.
um, you know, be surrounded by people in recovery. But I guess today it's like finding that balance between, like I don't know. I mean, my sponsor's gonna get mad at me and say, if I say sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to a meeting, but I try to get in at least 3 to 4 meetings a week. And some people will say, hey, that's too little. You should go every day or you should.
Mm,
But
naman.
yeah, I know. I
You're on the
mean,
right podcast.
Yeah, you're
yeah,
on
I'm
the
on the
right
right.
podcast.
Yeah. I mean, I think for me, it's like, I always say that drugs and alcohol used to be at the top of my list of like go-tos.
Mm.
If things are shitty and I'm super anxious and I'm overwhelmed, I'm just gonna pick up that joint, drink some alcohol, and that's how I'll deal with it. Now, because of how I've built my life, I have all these other things on my list, and alcohol and drugs just keeps moving lower and lower and lower.
Nice. Yeah.
So, it's not the go-to anymore. Um, Sometimes it's gonna creep up, like this week. It's like a drink would solve this. Or a while ago,
Yeah.
while having dinner, it's like, oh shucks, if I could just smoke a joint and forget about everything, you know, then deal with everything tomorrow. But I've learned to hear that voice
Mm.
Mhm.
and tell it to shut up, and then and then and then play the story to the end, or like
Hmm.
Yeah.
like
You
watch
played the tape, right?
play the tape,
Yeah.
right? And you know something actually magical is happening now because I'm um you know doing things differently now. Like I'm working with a sponsor on the big book. We're actually working the steps. Um, and I'm on step 4, which is like a big step for me. But um, it's something is happening, and I know it's gonna take a while for things to unravel. You know, it's it's not gonna happen right away. But because I've been here, I guess, long enough to experience joy, true happiness and joy in recovery, I know that if I stick around long enough, I know I'll find it again. You know, so yeah, it's not a better process. Every day has its challenges, but at least um I have the tools. I know to ask for help. I
Mm.
know to reach out. I know that if I'm having a bad day and I'm focusing on all of my problems and just thinking about me, if I reach out to someone else in recovery and check on them, then I take the focus out from myself and I start, you know, like basically start helping someone else. Then that's where the magic happens. So yeah, it's one day at a time. Sometimes it's one breath at a time. The other day, I was just super duper stressed and really triggered. And I got my phone and I threw it on the bed and I was like just crying, like sobbing. And I just had to allow myself that moment to just like, unravel in that mess of that moment, of that, the emotion I was in. But I stayed with it. I didn't pick up. I
Hmm.
didn't, I reached out to my sponsor. I reached out to people in recovery. I went to a meeting. I did some breath work. I treated myself to a yoga class that night. And I felt so much better the next day. I woke up,
Wow.
sun was
Yeah.
shining, and I'm like, I survived that day, you know.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, it's a different um place I'm in now because I'm older. I'm um dealing with life on life's terms. I remember my previous sponsor told me, "Oh, hilaw ka na. You're ready. You're ready for recovery now." Because when I came in when I was 17, I wasn't ready. I mean,
Yeah. That's
you know,
young, ah. That's young to be in the
yeah,
program also.
yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I mean, I hope I'm not that bone dry person who'll be like, "Oh, I'm now 60 and I can drink again." You know, because I mean, oh, and just to cap off that story, my dad is also in recovery now. So he's got I think he's got 3 or 4 years
Oh,
Oh,
wow.
that's
clean and
great.
sober.
Yeah.
Oh, he wasn't
So
before? Or like he's
he
been in and out?
he's been in and out. Yeah, he's been in and out, and now he's in recovery. So we have that connection. We have that recovery.
Yeah. That must be
Um,
nice. I always wish that somebody in my family was in the program so they would understand. Because sometimes it's like, oh my God, if only one of you is in the program.
yeah.
Like they just don't get it, right?
I think the best thing about being in recovery is like seeing people from outside. Like when I see friends or family or anyone from outside from using and drinking, and then I see them in the meetings, it's like, oh my God, you're here. know? It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's like the bumblebees in the No Rain
Oh,
MTV
yeah.
finding,
The
she's
other
there
bumblebees.
dancing all by herself and then she finds her friends and finally they're all happy together. So, I mean, it's a tough world we live in because alcohol is just, super glorified. I mean, it's in the
Yeah.
movies, it's in whenever I watch movies now and I see how there's so much drinking,
Mm-hmm.
it's like that's how people are trained to deal with sadness and grief and
Yeah.
Yeah.
breakups. And it's like, oh my God.
Yeah,
You
and like TV series, diba? It's like alcohol is always a part of it. Like as
Mm.
soon as the person is, stressed from work or like they just come home, the first thing they
Yes.
do is open the fridge, open a
Fridge.
bottle of wine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Diba? It's
It's
so
so glorified.
normal.
Yeah, it's so glorified. It's such a go-to. And then like the wives that drink wine because they're so stressed with their life.
Yeah.
You know.
The moms,
The,
diba?
the
The
mom,
mommy wine culture.
yeah,
Mommy wine.
the wine culture. So it's like, being in recovery is just for me like normalizing it. Um showing, like for me, showing myself that it doesn't have to be that way. And then, and then hopefully like it, I don't know, like helping other people see that that's not how it should be. But it's a difficult place to be, and it really feels sometimes like I'm swimming against the flow. Um, but there's people like you, and there's the 2 subscribers that listen to us. So you know, I think we just need to continue doing what we do, and 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 then other people will find their way. And if alcohol, if you feel like you like, I guess, like, I mean, if you'd ask me like if what I would say to people listening, if they feel like they have a problem, you know try it out for a while. There's that whole sober curious community,
Mm.
see what it's like. And actually, now on Instagram, there's like a whole culture of people, in wellness who are actually talking about removing alcohol from their lives because of the health benefits of, I mean, I guess the health risk of drinking alcohol. So I'm happy every time I see that. I'm super happy. Like, yay, yay, you don't drink, because
Part of your life talaga. This whole
yeah,
wellness and yoga thing. Like really, like when you were, ano pa, like, when you were in your darkest, diba, you said that you were in yoga training.
Mhm.
But then, like, you were still back out.
No, I wasn't drinking and using anymore.
Mm.
Okay.
I think what did, the yoga teacher training did for me was it was like, I guess it was like a step four, or, it was like unpacking stuff. Like I was
Yeah.
purging
Okay.
things.
Yeah.
I remember just crying a lot in my yoga
Mm-hmm.
training. And I was probably, how many months was I? I was maybe like a little close to a year clean and sober at that time.
Wow.
So it was like
Your yoga training.
unpacking, yeah, unpacking stuff, like purging a lot of emotions that were just like, um, you know, kept
Yeah.
under the rug for a long
Yeah.
time.
I can relate to that because like with yoga, right, there are certain poses that release
Yes. Yeah.
tension, emotions, like hip
Mm.
openers,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Hip openers. So sometimes like at the end of a session, I don't know why I'm crying.
Yeah.
Like it happens. Like
Yeah.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
when you do hip openers, all of a sudden I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
Yeah.
I'm like,
And
wait,
then
why am I crying?
they say kasi like for women, we hold a lot of our emotions in our hips.
Mm-hmm.
So when we do the hip openers and you do like a yin yoga practice, it's normal to like
There's a release.
feel,
Yeah,
yeah,
there's a
feel
release.
either you cry or you're like angry or irritable. But the gift, I guess, of yoga is being mindful about it. They always
Mm-hmm.
say that the true yoga happens off the mat. So, like in recovery, the true recovery happens when we're out of the meetings.
Mm-hmm.
Because
Yes.
because
True.
like you will stay clean and sober for that time, for that 1 hour that you're in a
Yeah.
meeting. But if you can't apply what you learn in that 1 hour when you leave the meeting or you leave the room, then 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 that's when you'll really know if you're able to apply the tools, right?
Yeah.
Yoga's the same way. They say
Yeah.
yoga off the mat. So living our lives mindfully
Mm.
is
Mm-hmm. And
it's
in the moment, right?
in the moment. So
Yeah.
it's very, very recovery based. I mean, there's like these similarities,
Yeah.
That's true.
which I love about it. Yeah.
Yeah,
One,
when you say you practice the principles in all your affairs, diba?
yeah,
So it's the
yeah,
Right.
same.
yeah.
Yeah, it's the same way.
Why it should be in the convention. I'm just saying.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
Isn't it?
I'm
Isn't it
just
already?
Yes.
saying.
Yeah, detox, right? You agreed to lead a
Yes,
yoga session
yes,
in the convention
yes.
in
Actually,
January. That's amazing.
one of the highlights of my life in recovery, or even as a yoga teacher, was when I would teach yoga in rehab centers.
Oh,
That's
cool.
amazing.
This was
Yeah.
yeah, pre-pandemic. I think I had like three rehabs I would go to and teach yoga, teach a
That's so
yoga
cool.
class to the patients. And I would always say, like for example, in a warrior pose, like they say that if you're leaning too much
Yeah.
forward,
Like that.
you're focused, you're like thinking of the future. And if
Mm-hmm.
your body's pulled
Do
back,
like that. Yeah.
then you're hanging on to the past. And when you physically bring your body to the center, you're in this moment.
Yeah.
So
Galing. I never thought of that.
Oh.
I like that.
They've actually
yeah,
observed that. So like based on your stance, that's
yeah.
oh
So I
fun.
remember being in a class, and I was sitting down. We were about to start the class. I was a student at this time, and then the teacher comes to me and he pushes me back because I was like,
Move
my
forward.
body
Yeah.
was leaning forward.
Forward.
Hey, come here, be here now. And it's true because I was just like, thinking of what I'm gonna do next.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Physically, like standing and being aligned is actually
Yeah.
being here. So it's something you guys can also, I mean, like now you're sitting on your
Oh, I
chair.
love it.
Just
Yeah.
notice if
Amazing.
you're like
Learning a lot.
Yeah.
leaning forward or and
Back.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that makes sense, no? You have to be centered, you have to be
Yeah.
aligned. Now it's all like, now I'm remembering everything. I'm like, now I'm gonna apply that. Thank you for that. I'm so excited to do your class. And the Pirate Mike and Carbs are joining, right?
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. 100%. That's actually
Si
I
Carbs, eh. I don't
that's
know.
how I
Huh?
first I know came to know of detox. Like we haven't, it's only recently that we met, but
Mhm.
I would say like outer orbit,
Yeah.
you know, um, like she's been there. That's why I'm very happy that I got to hear more of your story. That like one of the times that I remember hearing of you, we were almost on a 12 step call together. I don't know if you
Mhm.
know that, but
No.
around pandemic time, their
Okay.
mutual friend in recovery
Mhm.
was trying to get a few people together to help somebody do a 12 step call. And I remember seeing your name in
Mhm.
the GC. And
Okay.
the only reason why I recognized it is because I knew you as a yoga practitioner. There's some other like family members who
Mhm.
I thought you knew from yoga, and it turns out that like it's somebody else that you knew in recovery back in the day, you know? And so it's funny how all these things kind of like
You need to
add
give me
up.
all those names later.
I will. I
Because
will.
I'm trying to put the pieces together. Pandemic, was I clean and sober? Maybe I was, but maybe I wasn't, but
I think so. I mean, why else would they call you for a 12-step call if you weren't,
yeah.
like clean and sober at that time,
Yeah.
at least like as far as people knew.
Yeah.
But it's cool.
And then I saw in our group chat, in one of our home groups, the women's one, that in one of the meetings, you lead everyone in a meditation before the meeting.
Yes.
That's cool.
Isn't that so cool? So how
I
does
like
that
that.
work? Tell me, tell me.
Yeah,
That
that's a
what
fun meeting. So we basically it's a 10-minute meditation. So we start off the meeting the same way we always do. And then I do, it's not always me, it's sometimes other people, but we start off with a 10-minute meditation, centering, grounding practice. And then after that, we move into the sharings.
I love that. That's so
That's
cool.
so
It's a
great.
nice,
Silence.
you can actually, we can, huh?
Silence, like, or
Um,
just like different, like,
yeah,
breathing
so
exercises
yeah,
and stuff.
it's different stuff depending on who's leading it.
Mhm.
When I lead it, it's like a guided meditation. Um, depending on what I feel like doing that day, sometimes it's like a gratitude meditation or a forgiveness meditation.
Oh, that's so
Or
awesome. I'm gonna
today,
join.
yeah, you should. Today someone else led it, and um, she just kept reminding us for 10 minutes to be in the present moment, to rest, and for me, that's exactly what I needed. Um, and yeah, it's just a nice way to start off the meeting. There's actually I forgot the group that does it, but there's a group in the US um that basically put together 12 steps and Buddhism, and they
Oh,
have,
sweet.
Yun! Oh my God! I was just telling Pirate Mike about that, how there's so much similarities between Buddhist principles
yeah,
and the program, the
yeah,
12
Mm.
steps.
yeah, so
There's so many.
basically there's a group, um wait, I know the name now. It's called Refuge Recovery. So if you guys want to research on that, um
Ooh, I'll check that out. Because
it's
I really am very interested in Buddhism.
yeah,
Super.
it's called Refuge Recovery, and they start off. There might even be on YouTube, like
Mm.
actual. I know online there's refuge recovery meditations, and it's
Oh,
Yeah.
centered in the Buddhist principles mixed with recovery principles.
Uy,
that's cool then.
like that. I should check
Hmm.
that out. And like what I like about Buddhism the most and recovery is like when it's about letting go,
Non
right?
attached. Yeah.
Yeah, the not being attached to anything, whether it's material, relationships, the past,
Or the
resentments,
present,
ang
yeah, or the
dami.
future. Yeah. It's
It
so
doesn't
hard to
always have to,
balance.
yeah, it's hard. It doesn't always, kasi when you say Buddhism na parang, oh, you have to let go, diba? You think Buddha, oh, he had to let go of all his material belongings. It's not just material, it's everything, So, people fail to see that Buddhism it goes deeper than that. It's
Yeah.
also resentments and yeah, just the things that no longer serve you, you have to let it go. And that's what I like about that. It's just the simplicity of it. And yeah, and I don't know, I always feel that Buddhism is more accepting
Mm.
of everything.
Yeah.
It's not judgmental.
Yeah.
I think that's what that drew me into more of it, but I'm not a Buddhist or anything like that. It's just I'm Buddhist curious.
Yeah.
Buddhist curious.
Buddhist curious, sober curious, Buddhist
Yeah.
curious.
Something I also want to add before I forget is like, usually when I end my yoga class, we always like bless our mind. So we start off with, I bless my mind, my thoughts, because my thoughts can be my best friend or my worst enemy. And for me to choose thoughts that heal rather than hurt. And for someone, that's dealing with mental illness or a mental condition, that's super important for me
Yeah.
because um you know I've experienced times, actually this week was one of those weeks where my thoughts were just like super negative, like like, but being aware that my mind can play tricks on me, you know and there's that quote. I have a shirt that says, don't believe everything you think, because
Right.
sometimes my mind is tricking me,
Yeah.
you know like like
Yeah.
we were talking about it a while ago in the meeting, that um I'm this week has been tough because I've been like super ungrateful, But if I look at it on the flip side, there's so many things to be grateful about. But why is my mind playing tricks on me, you know? And for me, that's why the meditation this morning about taking a rest, taking a step back, looking at what's on my plate. What am I overfilling myself again? Am I saying yes to too many things? You know, am I not taking care of myself, not putting my boundaries down, not, so yun. So my mind, like bless my mind. It can either be my enemy or my best friend. Bless my words. My words can heal or they can hurt. So choose words that are
Inspiring, I guess.
inspiring or kind, and then bless my actions because bless them with compassion, and always like give like fill my cup up first before I give. Because I think like for a woman, a mom, someone with codependency issues also, it's always like giving, and then I leave nothing for myself.
Yeah.
And then
Pirate Mike, that prayer, is it like more like the 10th step or the 11th step prayer?
Which one?
Closer. The one that when she's saying bless my mind and then, bless my words, which prayer is it and the steps that it's most closest to?
It sounds like it's closer to 11.
To 11. Yeah, when you were
Because,
saying it,
no?
because it's so similar to like, one of the prayers.
One of the prayer,
in
like the St.
program.
Francis prayer a little bit.
Yes,
Because it's
yes,
basically the
exactly.
sane thinking, sober thinking kind of like prayer.
Mhm.
yeah, see, so
Yeah.
there's all these similarities. It's super cool to like put them together. And then
Yeah.
another thing also is like what Barbie mentioned to me before was like how to do all the things that I love sober, right?
Yes.
So being able to watch a band clean and sober, being able to go dancing clean and sober.
Yes.
Right?
She's not only a good yoga teacher, she's also a very good dancer. We went to this Brazilian party.
Samba dancing.
Yeah, the
Oh,
samba.
samba.
She's really able to do. I was like, oh my God, like all the footwork, and because it's complicated. I was like, but yeah,
Yeah, so
she's
to do all of those clean and sober, right, is such a gift. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Is it
Yeah,
different?
watching you dance, you're so happy and so confident. I remember
Yeah.
one of our recovery friends, she's like, detox. Like, what I love her. She's just so joyful and vibrant and so confident, because we were all just watching you dance and we're like, wow, galing, and
It took me a while to get there. I actually have two left feet, so
no way.
Wait, really?
Didn't seem like it.
lots of practice.
Didn't seem like it.
Does it? Not at all.
Didn't seem like it at all.
Yeah, you look like you've been dancing for years, and you could see the joy. That's what I saw. I saw the joy, and
The joy.
everyone was smiling, that night. And thanks for inviting us because we
Yeah.
all had such a great time. It
I
was
think-
so nice to know that you can really have fun, do even more fun,
Yeah.
than before, because now we're all going home sober,
Yeah.
not driving drunk, not
Yeah,
having a
waking up.
hangover.
My favorite is waking up the next day and feeling
Yeah.
like, oh, I remember everything from last night. And
Yes, and
Yeah.
waking up refreshed.
heavy-headed today. Yeah. Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
best.
And I love that you're so game.
Mhm.
Have these like, I can see it na parang whenever you post, like, you're so game and then you invite us to all these things. And you're just like, oh, like when we're planning like a lunch, I'll join. And it's like,
Yeah.
that's it there.
And now you're into crocheting naman, right? I
Yes.
see it.
Oh,
My
right on.
friend,
Yeah.
my friend who's in Al-Anon, that's her, I think I have to say that that's one of her higher powers is crocheting because it really is calming. Ako nasa-stress ako because hindi ako marunong.
Yeah.
But like I've tried, I've attended the workshop, crochet workshop, and dude, I just don't get it. Some people just can't. I think I'm just one of those.
I knit.
But my
Oh, yeah.
oh yeah, that's
Similar?
hook. No, because
Knitting is 2 needles.
si
I knit.
Carbs is very
Oh my gosh,
artsy
can you
yan
teach me? I want to learn.
It's super easy. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so it's like it's like automatic. Like
Oh my gosh, can you teach me? I'm
Yeah.
I'm relearning how to crochet, and it's so funny because in a meeting last week I shared, and then I spoke about how crochet is again super recovery, because if you make a mistake, all you need to do is pull it, unravel it, and
Yeah.
start over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Diba?
Oh,
so
nice.
keep coming back.
Yeah, just keep coming back.
Just keep
It's so like
coming back.
fall on your feet, fall flat on your face, stand up, and start over. You know,
Galing. That is so good. I love
Galing.
that. Oh,
That's
I wish I
amazing.
can crochet. But yeah, it's
I'll
very
teach you.
healing
I'll teach you. It's so healing
for the
and
hopeless.
yeah. No, it's so fun. It's so fun. Like my dreams are crochet, and in my dreams I'm crocheting. I'm making
Wow.
You know what? You
ganon.
should
I'm like,
stick to
yeah.
it.
Her
Keep
yarn was
doing it.
her yarn is really
Rainbow,
yes,
yeah. Of
made it
course,
so hard.
yeah. I chose the rainbow yarn, and it's so funny because I was like, I'm so confused with the colors because but yeah, and then I made a heart. So I'm still learning, but that's what recovery does. It allows me the capacity to do these things, to learn new things, and I
Mhm.
can really like see myself growing old and making stuff, making
Yeah.
Making
Why
blankets.
not?
yeah.
My friend, the one who's an Al-Anon, that's exactly what she told me. She's like, you know what? I wish I could just quit my job and just crochet for the
Yeah,
rest of my life and
yeah.
live on it? And she's so good. Like, she made a Sabrina Carpenter doll. That's how
Wow.
good she is.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Correct.
galing. I was
Wow.
like, dude, just sell it.
Because
Sell it.
I think what all of these things do, dancing, yoga,
Mhm.
crocheting, finding a hobby, painting, all of these things bring us into the present moment.
Mm.
Yes.
And with with a mind that's racing, thinking of all these thoughts, a million and one thoughts a day, when and then we'll go into Waldorf education, like working
Yeah.
with your hands really brings you into the moment. So
Mm.
yeah, so there's magic in like cooking, or
Mhm.
just
True.
with our hands. I mean, we were
Yeah.
given these things, like that's why today, like, it's so hard yeah, because we're always on our phones, we're so busy working. But if we find you need to find that thing or those things that will let you work with your hands and come into the moment. So I think for me, I found that in crochet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me,
Oh,
it's cooking, working out. Yeah, it just brings you. Yeah, especially I'm bipolar, so it's like it's healing. It really is
Yeah.
like just doing something that you love.
And
You
you
know.
you get out of all those thoughts in your head and just come into the moment.
no, that's true.
Yeah.
Like working with your hands, it's like you have to focus on what's going on. Like, you're trying to create something or you're doing something, even with writing, that's with me.
Mm.
Or when I draw. When I
Yeah.
draw stuff,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
I have to be conscious of the lines that I'm making, or
Yeah.
it's something that takes me out of me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me. And
Yeah.
like for that particular moment, it's like it's peace. It's a peaceful moment. Like, you're not worrying, you're not anxious,
Yeah.
you're not lonely, you're not sad,
Yeah.
whatever. Sometimes sometimes I think that, the ideas in my head, like, it will transcend pa with what I'm making.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like parang,
Mhm.
oh, I didn't think I could make this. Like, I'm into ano na, basta I'm into Celtic knots.
Ooh.
So that's what I draw
Ah,
now, because
So
like,
that's a meditation in itself.
yes, because like it's very precise with those ano, and it's like it's like a weaving pattern when you draw it.
Yeah.
So you have, like, it's like figuring out these puzzles or whatever it is. It's just parang when you're done, you're just like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
Diba? Parang like with crocheting also, you're figuring out the pattern, and then when you see it, you're just like, ooh, look at that.
Yeah.
Diba?
Yeah.
the outcome or the product that you make, it's just like something that you didn't think that you could it came out of you.
Yeah.
Diba?
And
Yeah.
one, like you mentioned, like sadness, like for me, it's like I can sit with a feeling
Mm,
and be with it, and then it will pass. And then
Yeah.
that's the
Yeah.
whole
yes.
non-attachment, or like this too shall pass, because I'm sitting with it and I'm doing something, and you know I'm sad, but I'm still doing something, and then that feeling moves on and changes
Yeah.
to
It's
it.
acceptance, diba? Acceptance of what's happening,
Mhm.
to you. Because normally we tend to like, yeah, we drink, we take drugs to escape.
To
But
distract ourselves.
there's
Yeah.
a lot of peace and acceptance. Okay, this is what's happening, and it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to surrender it to my higher power, and like it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
And that's the gift of recovery. And I remember like when you said that like sometimes like all these like different thoughts enter your mind, and then you say like mindfulness is so important. And it's true because that happens, like, especially when you're doing something like you're driving and you're not really thinking, or you're in the shower, and then you have like these bad memories. That's what happens to me. I have bad memories happen while I'm showering. And
Ah,
next
they
thing
come
you know, I'm
forward.
crying. Yes. And then all of a sudden I'm crying because I feel like I'm back in that very moment.
Oh, wow.
It's so bad.
Like
I feel like I
intrusive
traveled,
memories, and then you're
yes,
right there.
intrusive memories, and I'm there again. And
Yeah.
then if I don't catch myself, I can really get into a very, very deep hole. I feel like it's happening to me again. Like I'm experiencing all the pain and I'm crying. And sometimes I'm in the shower and I'm yelling. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, fuck you, or something like that. Like, put the camera or whatever. And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, all of a sudden, I just wake up and I'm like, wait, what's happening? What's happening?
Yeah.
And then you're like, and then I tell myself, go back, go back, and that's when I'm like, okay, everything's all right. You're taking a shower,
Yeah.
wash your hair. You're not there anymore. But it takes mindfulness and you have to catch your thoughts because you are your thoughts talaga,
Yeah.
you know? And yeah, I totally get what you're saying. I totally, totally get it.
The
If I
shower
don't,
is super
yeah.
healing, huh? The
Yeah,
shower
it's
is
also, yeah,
super
but
healing.
sometimes if you have
Yeah.
like a racing mind like mine, you have to and sometimes when I'm driving, because it's always like activities when you don't have to think, and
Yeah.
that's when these intrusive thoughts
Mm.
come in, and you're like, oh my God, like I'm driving and I end up somewhere else. I'm like, oh, what happened?
Aha!
Why am I here?
Yeah.
Ah! Ayun.
Like last time.
Like last time.
Like last time, you ended
Yeah.
up
In
way
Carmona.
Yeah.
Far.
And wala akong
Kabana pa.
driver tomorrow.
Oh
No one's
no.
riding with me.
No,
So
but
I'm
you
not
know,
telling
that's
anyone because they might
like,
get scared.
like in the shower sometimes when sometimes I just fucking hate that shower. Because like, you know, like how I keep having these conversations in my head that I wanna have with someone,
Oh yeah.
Yes.
confront someone,
Yes.
Oh yeah.
and then you
Because
just
you
like
didn't get the
this is not
chance.
like it's like the bathroom for me. That's not recovery sometimes. Recovery in that but like in the shower, it's like this is not recovery. Why am I cussing people out in my head? Or like, sometimes
Yes.
I'd even say it like, like I'd have a full-blown conversation with nobody there and me just like saying my piece. Like,
But sometimes you just need to release it also, diba?
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
needs to come out.
right. And then like, you get out
yeah.
of the bathroom and you're just like, huh. Hey. You're just like, woo, that was cool. Like, like that's what happens to me. Like I have conversations with people I want to confront, but I know
Mm-hmm.
it will only happen like in instances like that because like if I do that in real life, shit's gonna hit the fan,
Yeah.
you know?
So at
And
least you have a safe space.
Yeah, in your shower.
Release.
Yeah.
Diba?
How about you, Mike? How are you in the shower?
The same. No, yeah. No, a lot of the conversations will play out. I mean, shower, driving, no, and um I used to be less forgiving of myself when it comes to things like that. You know, that would happen, but then I would also beat myself up a bit, like, you know, why aren't you confronting this person, or why aren't you doing? So it would be mixed with like regret and shame, right? And I think that in recovery today, I'm learning to be more forgiving and of myself and kind to myself with that. So like, sure, if I'm gonna wake up tomorrow, and that's happened a few times this week actually, like if I'm gonna have that argument in the shower, then I like what you said, D, like maybe I need to release in that moment, and then there'll be an opportunity for me to practice it better maybe the next day. But you know, in the present, this is the best that I could do.
Yeah.
So clearly there's some pain or something that I'm working through. You know, we can continue to practice and do it better. It's only when I get too caught up in like the criticism and everything, and like I think about even with the drinking and everything, right? Like that's part of what kept me on the merry-go-round. It's what I carried with me into the following day, the shame, the anger, the regret, the resentment. And for as long as I am cruel to myself in that way, like I'm never gonna allow myself to experience freedom.
Yeah.
You know, it can be so intense, those emotions, and
Yeah.
In the shower? No, I'm
In the
kidding.
shower.
in anywhere.
Anywhere, or in the car or whatever. You're just, yeah, when you end up like cursing someone and you're like fighting
Yeah.
like the air, punching the air. It's,
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone in a
You know.
meeting mentioned that. They were like, I forgot. I'm gonna fuck up this story, but then you'll get it. They said, you remember before when people used to talk about the crazy people, and you know, at least you're not going around and having conversations with yourself, or like seeing things in the air, and then everyone was like, yeah. It's like when you're having these arguments, imaginary arguments in your head, or when you're screaming at the person in your head while you're driving, like you are that person in that moment. Understand? Like that is you are just as insane. That counts.
Yeah.
Counts, right?
it's true.
Yeah.
It's true.
Counts. It fucking
Yeah.
counts. It
You know what?
does.
I feel like, you know what, when you said that you got depressed when you entered recovery again, and you're like telling yourself, why is this happening? You know, when I decided to stop taking drugs and drinking, this is when I'm gonna get depressed. But you know, that's exactly what happened to me.
Yeah.
You know, I got into the
Same.
program and it was so confusing because I was like, wait, I'm supposed to be, diba the old timers, happy, joyous, and free.
Yeah.
I'm like, when is that gonna happen? I'm so
Why am I
fucking
not
sad.
happy?
Yeah, and it got worse. I stopped eating. I stopped, like, talagang I couldn't feel any joy. And that's why I had to go back to my meds. But this time, the meds worked because I was no longer drinking and using, because I was taking Valium, Ribotril, I was taking all of these things, sleeping pills, and halo-halo na with my drinking plus my antidepressant. Dude, and we blame it. How come an antidepressant is not working? My psychiatrist is
Right.
just bullshitting me. I'm just gonna do spinning classes. So you're like, it's so stupid. It's like, of course it's not gonna work when you're drinking. It's a depressant. You're taking Valium.
Exactly.
Diba? Hello. All of these things are depressants.
Yeah.
And then you're wondering why, oh no, my psychiatrist is wrong. I'm not really bipolar. You know, it's like, this is just all mumbo jumbo, you know, and you're like, dude, you're the problem.
Yeah.
It's what you're doing. That's the problem.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember like my counselor was like, I would listen to you, Barbie, talk about and complain and all of that. It's because of this person. It's because of like that. And I never admitted, oh, it's because of my drinking that I'm feeling this way.
Oh.
Yeah. And she's
Yeah.
like, I'm just let you talk. But
Yeah.
not once did you ever own like your role in it, that the reason why you're sad and the reason why you're fighting with everybody is because of your drinking.
Yeah.
Everything else was like, oh, because like this, my ex-husband, or because my daughter, because it was everybody's fault. But I never just said, maybe if I took my medication and stopped drinking, maybe it will work. You know, or something like that. But yun
identify
nga,
that it's the alcohol because
it's really the alcohol. So finally, yeah, I did see my psychiatrist, and slowly I started to feel joy again. I started eating again, but I had to take the alcohol
Yeah.
out and really, stick to my medication, like really take it the same time every day, really give it a chance,
Yeah.
because no amount of physical activity, if you do spinning classes, but I was doing it like 5, 6 times a week and eating healthy, and I was doing all of these things, and I couldn't understand why I was still so depressed,
Yeah.
Mm.
but after that, I do my workout and all that stuff, but then drink na after. It's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, all right.
Glad
It's
you
like
brought that
you're
up, actually, because of, yeah, the same thing popped out to me when Detox was talking about her. Because I like that uncomfortable, depressed sobriety.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, I can relate to that story. I was there for years, and white knuckling it. But then I think that the misunderstanding that I had was that I stopped drinking and I'm going to meetings, and that in and of itself is supposed to help. That's how I'm supposed to be. Or like attending more meetings. If I don't like it, then just attend even more meetings and just being around people. I'm sure somebody was telling me that I needed to pay attention to what was in the book more and like try to understand it. But I didn't want
Mhm.
to. I thought I could just talk to people and attend meetings and take commitments, and that was supposed to do it. And I didn't understand. I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And so I didn't really understand what in my case, like with AA, like I didn't really understand what the point of recovery is. It's not just
Mhm.
about, I mean, what Barbie said with the medication, it's related. No, like if all I did was take away my drinking and the drugs, and those were the things that I was looking at as like my medicine to life, if I just
Mhm.
remove them from the equation and I don't have something that is not even like, well, at least equal, but better as a substitute, then of course I'm going to be depressed
yeah.
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 because I have no other way to like I haven't learned to cope with just reality like any other way.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So I like the balance thing. You mentioned like the warrior pose. I mean, if it's um either looking too far ahead into the future or like getting stuck in the past, and the same thing with recovery, there have been times when I was like, okay, just inventory in the sense of like not being an asshole and then saying prayers every day because I really don't like to talk to people, right? Or it'll be, I don't really need to pray. I just need to do more fellowship stuff. Whenever I can be off balance when I'm relying too much on one facet and not
Yeah.
seeing
Mhm.
how all of it is supposed to be working in concert.
Yeah.
Yes, together,
You're,
diba?
you're
Like,
in the circle of trust, she says. My sponsor says.
Circle of trust. I
You're
like
in the
that.
center of the circle. You need to be centered. So yeah, I think for me before in recovery it was just meetings, fellowship,
yeah,
and I wasn't doing the actual inner work
Mm.
that I
yes.
needed to do.
Like the steps, diba? The steps
Yeah,
talaga.
so now that's what I'm doing differently.
Yes, that's amazing. That's really great to hear.
Let's see where it goes.
Well, you
Oh, you let me know
started,
now.
Yeah,
just keep going. And yeah, I was the same. Like when I first entered the rooms, I thought that the program was all about just venting, like make sure to share in meetings, vent to people. If you feel like drinking, call your sponsor. I thought that was what the sponsor does. That every
yeah,
time you feel like drinking or you have, you're freaking out, that's what the sponsor's for. Like you can just call them anytime and freak
yeah,
out and
yeah,
yell and whatever. But I didn't know that a sponsor's job was to lead you through the steps.
yeah, yeah,
That's the main
yeah,
job of the sponsor. So it was only because I didn't do the steps right away. So I
mm,
didn't get it.
yeah,
I was just going like to the meetings and I'm just wondering why I'm still so miserable.
yeah,
And I'm still mad. I kept bitching about my ex-husband, bitching about my life, afraid of losing money in my job and all
Mm.
of these things. I was so consumed
mm,
when the answers were in the 12 steps. The answers were there. I just didn't know what the 12 steps were.
yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
just didn't know what they were. So when I started with 1, 2, 3, and then pagdating ng 4, oh, okay, we're getting somewhere.
yeah,
And then you start releasing the resentments and all of those things and take ownership for your role and things. That was a big thing for me. And then and like the healing starts there. Eh. That's where it
I'm excited.
starts.
Yeah, because I was sharing with them a while ago that I'm on my fourth step. So I'm actually like in the process of physically writing. So
Yeah.
and I have like 90 names on my list.
Oh, good for you.
Good, is that good?
Pirate Mike's like,
I was
oh,
so pissed yesterday. I was like, why did I put so many names here?
No, good for you.
I
Yeah.
want to do thorough step.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, lately the people I've been working with are like 20 names, 30 names. You know,
Yeah.
I had like 400 resentments alone. So I'm like, this is your truth. So I'll respect it. But also, what the fuck? Do you even know what anger is?
Yeah. Keep putting those names there. And like yesterday I was writing and then a new name came up. I'm like, damn it, I have to add her to the list. Okay, fine. So,
Don't worry, you'll get there.
Yeah.
one step at a time.
One step at a time. It took me a while, but
Carbs.
come on.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah,
Step
but I'm
five.
very excited for you. You know, I can tell that you're really taking it very seriously, you know, and the fact that you're getting frustrated and throwing things, that's a good sign. Because you're facing it.
Yeah.
It's painful. Step 4 is so painful. I don't blame you. It's very painful.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but once you do it, wow.
Yeah. It's an exciting place to be in, to be doing it and having that conviction of like, you know, it's uncomfortable, but you know, there's no way through it. There's no way through the pain. But there's no way past the pain except
But
through it.
through, yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
That's
it's like
amazing.
crawling my way through it, crawling through the mud. Yeah.
Yeah.
So much
Well,
for
you can add us to your circle of trust. We're so happy you're here.
Yay!
Yes, and we've learned so much from you. Seriously, like I'm so excited to do that meditation, and I just want to experience that. And you know, like I've been like I was telling everyone in the convention planning that you know I trying to convince them like yoga's part of recovery. You know, like
I should join one of the Sunday planning sessions na nga eh. Para I can, yeah. But it is. And I mean, you know, people kasi have some preconceived notions about it. So sometimes they're like, no, it's different. But I guess because I'm in recovery, then I'm able to mix different concepts.
Yeah, and whatever works for you, right? Like seriously, yet whatever brings you joy and peace and
Yeah.
you know, everybody has their own journey.
Yeah.
So yeah, so thank you so much. I'm so really thank you, and I've really learned so much, and I'm going to be more mindful of my poses, especially the warrior pose.
Yeah, and see, just be observant and be the observer of your body, of your breath, and yeah.
Thank you.
So yeah, cheers to that. You will get
Cheers,
one of
DEETALKS.
these mugs.
Happy,
I will give it to you when I see
okay.
you.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Thanks so
Cheers.
much.
Guys.
This has been an episode of the Coco Recovery Podcast. If you would like to get in touch with our hosts or guests, please email us at cocorecoverypodcast@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.